The Member of Parliament for Central St. Mary, Dr. Maurice Guy, has been in place since 2002, and on Tuesday, he made his final contribution to the sectoral debate in the House of Representatives, of course, having indicated previously that this would be his last time at bat. In his presentation, given his role as opposition spokesman on health, he criticized the health delivery in the country, the quality of healthcare, and some infrastructural issues that the government has been struggling with. And he also outlined some measures to improve the situation facing teachers, and of course, where education is concerned, he had some ideas that the PNP will no doubt put in their election manifesto. Dr. Maurice Guy, my guest today on Lead Story. Welcome to Lead Story on this Wednesday. It has been an extraordinary day in Jamaica. We've never seen anything like this before, where the nation, parts of the nation, came to a standstill as people queued for that thing. You all know what that thing is. There is no advertisement from them in this quarter, so I'll not mention them by name. But I tell you, our people are just remarkable, and their reaction to that product is amazing. Anyway, Dr. Maurice Guy, he spoke in the House of Representatives for the final time on Tuesday in his sectoral debate presentation. And he covered a fair few topics in his time at bat, speaking, of course, to the quality of healthcare, the state of infrastructure across the island. He spoke about Cornwall Regional Hospital, and he also spoke about some measures that a PNP administration would introduce to keep more teachers at home. We have him here live, but of course, we're just giving you an excerpt from his presentation in the House on Tuesday.
Many Jamaicans visiting hospitals for needed or emergency care have spent days and weeks fighting to be accommodated with a bed. Some have been forced to remain on stretchers, in wheelchairs, on chairs and benches, and yet others have had to make whole ground their bed, even if not rock stone their pillow. Minister, you must be aware of these situations, which are not limited and were not limited to the COVID pandemic period. Neither are they limited to any particular institution, urban or rural, whether type A, B, or C. In all of them it exists. The government's focus on public relations, Chris, and optics, rather than the actual delivery of service, has pushed the sector to the brink of collapse. Each week, we see or hear of another grieving family, another life lost, another tragedy that could have been prevented. And you know, Mr. Speaker, with glee, the minister in berating the previous government handling of health pointed to a newspaper article of 2015, which mentioned, and I quote, doctors use plastic bags as aprons in operating theaters, unquote. This doesn't happen nowadays. You know, Minister, that not happen. At least we haven't heard about it. But what happens, Mr. Speaker, is that surgeries are aborted because of the absence of even theater linen. And we only could look at what happened in Notre Bay the other day in a TVJ expose in June 3, 2025, because of the absence of functioning theaters, because theaters have become mold infested and out of commission. At least in 2015, patients were getting the much needed surgery with the aprons from plastic bag. One cannot say the same for today. Mr. Speaker, this is not just a crisis of infrastructure, but a crisis of leadership and compassion. Madam Speaker, nothing highlights, Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, this crisis more starkly than the recent procurement scandal involving the $31 million drill. The matter is before the court, so we're not going to go into specific details here. Suffice it to say, $31 million is money that could have been used to purchase a drill and life-saving medications, repair broken equipment, or hire much-needed staff.
Dr. Maurice Guy there. I did say he was the opposition spokesman on health. That's actually Dr. Alfred Dawes. Dr. Guy was for a significant amount of time in opposition, the opposition's point person where the health sector and related matters were concerned. Anyway, after the break, we'll hear from the Central St. Mary MP of that I am certain.
The gateway for Jamaica's athletes to several international competitions, including the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan, opens from Thursday, June 26 to Sunday, June 29 for the J3A Junior and Senior National Championships at the National Stadium, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. each day. Admission. Finish area season tickets, $8,000. Daily, $1,000 to $3,000. Regular grandstand season tickets, $6,500. Daily, $1,000 to $2,500. Tickets go on sale at MysticOnlineTix.com. Starting June 11, Pegasus Hotel and the Stadium Ticket Office. Starting Monday, June 23. The action will be sizzling.
At Hawkeye, we work hard to develop state-of-the-art security solutions like our new Total Connect smart home automation system that gives you 24/7 access to control your appliances, lights, cameras, and doors using your smartphone, tablet, or PC. As the most trusted electronic security company in Jamaica, Hawkeye has the fastest response times to get to you when you need us most. Trust Hawkeye's Total Connect. Hawkeye, securing what matters most.
Come and tell me what is bothering you, Krishna. Come on.
If Mummy wins tomorrow's competition, then she will leave and take me away.
I won't allow that.
I don't want to hear Ganga's name again as long as I live.
Ganga.
Brought to you by
Hyundai or Hyundai.
Dr. Maurice Guy was a five-star general, 5 consecutive terms voted in as Member of Parliament for Central St. Mary. And he says he leaves with the constituency in good hands. Comrade Omar Miller expected to step forward for the PNP on nomination day to be nominated as the next PNP candidate in that seat. Dr. Guy joins me this evening on Lead Story. Good evening, Dr. Guy. Welcome.
Good evening, sir. I couldn't hear you earlier on.
Well, are you hearing me clearly now? Very well. May I ask, Dr. Guy, for you to declare what state do you leave the health sector in as you transition to different things from outside of politics?
As we what?
What state do you leave the health sector in as you move on from representational politics?
As I indicated yesterday, it is a sorry state really, because health is supposed to be about health and wellness, about the well-being of individuals, whether they are sick and how they are cared for. Unfortunately, our current system does not lend that compassion and that level of care that is expected of the health services in Jamaica at this time. Our patients, our constituents, as I indicated, have had to wait long hours to even get attention. In fact, I work in the medical field, despite the fact that I'm a member of Parliament. I see patients. And sometimes, Mr. Davis, when I refer patients to the hospital, there's a reluctance for them to go, even to do an X-ray.
Yes.
Because they say, I'm not going to that place. I don't want to go to that place because I'm going to dare to suffer. And it is not just 1 or 2 or 3, a significant number.
Yes.
But one of the things that you, like everybody else, need to do is to walk the floor. And I've said to Minister over and over, you need to be there to see what happens to the people. Then you'll have a better appreciation of the sector.
May I ask you though, Dr. Guy, what is so stubborn about the systemic issues bedeviling health that cycle after cycle, the lamentation is the same about long wait hours, about a lack of resources, about not enough doctors in some spaces? What is it that is causing this systemic thing to pervade across administrations, you believe?
Well, if one is to believe the current minister, there's no shortage of funds to do anything. We have increased the emoluments for doctors. We have increased the number of posts for doctors. The problem is, the truth is that the hospitals are not really catering to the patients as they should. They have run out of space, and what has happened, if you resources in terms of having more doctors on the floor. You need to have more accommodation then. And the truth, is that it does not take much to do that, which is why I mentioned compassion. It does not take much to build even temporary facilities to accommodate those patients, as we did in COVID, so that they don't have to be suffering as they do now. They don't have to be going to the hospital at 6 p.m. and get through at 6 a.m. the next morning.
So you're suggesting that, like COVID, when we had what we called the field hospitals, the extension of facilities, temporary arrangements to deal with and isolate people, you're saying that perhaps that should become a feature of the system until permanent structures can be built?
Definitely. Because put it this way, we have increased the number of doctors. If you have the same number, same space, and we have increased the cadre of doctors, certainly you're going to want more space for them to operate in.
Yes.
So that is one of the suggestions. The other suggestions that we have made, and I see that the minister has started to put that on board, is to extend the opening hours for the public health facilities, the health centers, so that people do not have to come there at 8 o'clock and sometimes send people at 5 o'clock to get a ticket from the porter, the guard who is there, to ensure that they get within the quota for that particular day.
Yes.
If you extend the hours, then certainly you can have a better approach to patient management, a better approach to patient care, and a compassionate way of addressing some of the ills of our people.
Dr. Guy, you have not been known, you are not known to be an unreasonable man. And I heard you earlier say that, yes, doctors, the emoluments have improved, just outside of pay, and the number of doctors, the ranks have been increased and other things. What else will you cite as improvements that have been made under the charge of this minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton?
Well, there's a lot of things in terms of, you could have got improvement. There have been some X-ray machines. There have been some facilities that have had radar interventions, such as CT scans. But the point is, they are insufficient. We have cases where, for example, we have a national public health lab, which is a top-class lab. But you have patients in the system who have done pap smears and wait 6 months to get back the result in the public health system. What can happen between now and 6 months' time when the result comes back that they have cancer of the cervix? Things like these happen, right? So even though we bolster, the government claims it bolsters the capacity of the public health system by having a bigger national public health laboratory, we still have the challenges as outlined.
Yes.
We need a reset.
Yes. The issue of the Cornwall Regional Hospital. Now, the opposition, no doubt, is seeing this as perhaps an Achilles heel of the government, especially in this election period. Although, to be fair to the opposition, they've consistently been critical of the protracted nature of the improvements to the facility. But the opposition is on record, a group of 5 of Western Jamaica-based opposition caretakers, on record as saying that the government has already spent $24 billion on the hospital. As a fact, Janice Allen, Alan Bernard, Nikisha Burchell, Dr. Andre Horton have all signed up to a statement issued by the PNP saying $24 billion has already been spent. The minister went to Parliament in his sectoral presentation, Dr. Guy, and said, well, actually only $9 billion has been spent. Does the opposition accept that number?
Well, I accept that number. I don't know what my parliamentary colleagues have said in St. James, but I have been following the data as is, and I pointed out in my presentation yesterday that I am speaking to what is in the estimates, and the estimates is that it is $21.4 billion, and when the minister was only admin block, he added 2.1, so it is $23.5 billion.
In terms of the provision for the spend, in terms of the provision for the spend.
That's the estimate of expenditure.
Estimate, good.
Yes, sir.
Right. But I just wanted to tie up the point before I go to the break.
And also, one thing to
Yes.
correct before you go, I was introduced to Dr. Sosan and health and
No, but I fixed that earlier. I fixed that earlier.
I couldn't have heard that because, as I said,
That's fine. That's fine. But just to tie up the point before we go to the break. So the minister has said 9 billion has already been spent.
9.5.
Right. And you are not adding your voice to those of your colleagues who say 24 billion has already been spent.
No, I'm speaking to what I know.
Very well.
As presented in the budget.
Very well. Let's take a break and come right back. This is Lead Story. I have Dr. Maurice Guy. He's the Member of Parliament for Central St. Mary, a medical doctor and a man who says he has enjoyed his time as a legislator. Time for him to move on to other things. More after these.
Millions of people are attacked by harmful mouth bacteria. The root cause of bad breath, gum problems, cavities, plaque, and tartar. That's why Colgate combined the best science and technology in Colgate Total. Unlike others, its superior formula fights bacteria and creates a powerful protective barrier for up to 24 hours to prevent them from coming back. Take control of your oral health with Colgate Total.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Celebrating
me for the first lead story here on CVM TV.
1 year of bold reporting.
And of course we look at solutions, but the fact is
1 year of fearless investigations.
It's a very important argument and it's a very important issue.
1 year of asking the tough questions.
16 is not enough. Is 13 enough?
Lead Story with George Davis is celebrating 1 year of delivering the truth day after day. And we are just getting started.
Let's start the show. Back with us here on Lead Story, we have medical doctor Maurice Guy with us. Well, I have him with me. He's the Member of Parliament for Central St. Mary. He checks out at the end of this parliamentary term, having served 5 terms. He says he was a proud member of the class of 2002. James Robertson, the only other surviving member of the 2002 class, still in the House. And when Dr. Guy leaves the stage, James Robertson will stand alone. Dr. Guy, just one more on health before I tackle other things you mentioned in your presentation. What, based on your inside knowledge, your first-hand experience, is the true state of operating theatres in the country?
Well, they are not. We have some hospitals have functioning theatres, but we have hospitals that have problems that are recurring. They are not the incident is not just a one-off thing. There was a repair some time ago for mold, and after about a month or two, there was a recurrence. They had to close the theatre to spend. And this case I referred to a while ago, I referenced, was a situation where this child, adolescent albeit, had to be put off for about 3 months of doing her surgery. And the technical part of it is that she may have challenges later as a result of this delay in doing the surgery. We know that sometimes patients who have been scheduled for elective surgery have had to be shifted because theatres are out in other hospitals and emergencies come in, and emergencies take precedence there, as is the case in the triage system. But we have those patients who have had to be sent home and come back another date, couple of months down the road. And it's due to the fact that the hospitals, whether it is air conditioning, whether it is mold infestation, whether it is lack of bed linen, whether it is lack of proper planning, have had to be enduring this grief. for protracted period. So it is not just one isolated cases. It occurs across the island. If you do a survey, you'll recognize that this is not just unique to the one I cited just a while ago.
Would you say that the problems in health require a lot of time to correct, a lot of resources to correct, or just a reallocation of the money that is already in the system?
I think you mentioned earlier on, and I think that's where my thinking is that some of these issues, they are low-hanging fruits, right? They can be addressed easily, reallocating some of the resources that you have. And when you have the system functioning, then you attend to some of the bigger things. I said that it's time we stop cutting ribbons and start cutting hernias, because it is important that we address what we are there for. Health requires a compassionate approach to it, right? Because one of the things, is that if you have patients who are going into a system and they are going on the system with stress prior to it, the outcome of the surgery or the outcome of the care will be somewhat potentially deleterious to their health. So the point I'm making is that a reallocation of some of the resources to address the low-hanging fruits.
Yeah. You've always been regarded, Dr. Guy, as a very even-tempered legislator. There's a word that describes that: equanimity, evenness of mind or temper. You could apply that to Dr. Maurice Guy. Would you say that a sector like health needs that kind of equanimity, evenness of mind and temper in relations between whomever is the minister and the opposition spokesperson, and not the kind of cut and thrust upheaval that is perhaps evident in the interaction between the current spokesman on health and the sitting minister?
I am not going to address what the current spokesman and the sitting minister is, but I basically will answer your question by saying that certainly that type of association, as you reference, is necessary. But where there is a need to have a critique, then one has to, because at the end of the day, we, what is known as His Majesty's loyal opposition, we have to address some of the ills and the concerns that we see that the government is not dealing with, because we are also, as has been said, you have said it too, we are government in waiting as the opposition. So we also have to factor some of the plans we have, some of the ills that we see besetting the health sector, and also to give solutions to some of those.
What state do you leave your constituency of Central St. Mary in, Dr. Guy, after 22 years plus?
Mm-hmm. Well, politically, I am confident that the People's National Party will retain the constituency. There are certain infrastructural things that we are still expecting to happen. We want our roads fixed. We want Spark. Even though we have gotten 2 roads in this financial year fixed, they are parish-sponsored roads, they are municipal corporation roads. The means are in a terrible state, which is as a result of the type of soil we have, the rainfalls we have, and the fact that we have not been getting the subventions. You know that even quarterly patching that the government usually gives to respective members of parliament or respective constituencies, because we don't get the money, right, was not forthcoming. This is the first after many years that it is coming back in, and the first quarter has gone and no funding yet. So that is it. What we have done in terms of education is I think, is commendable. Our schools, except the Horace Clark High School, need some improvement. And, interestingly, Mr. Davis, we have been promised this from the current Minister of Finance was at Education. And each year in the budget at the Standing Finance Committee, we ask about Islington. It is with planning. It is with planning. It is with planning. C'est la vie. The point is, similarly, with tourism, from the previous administration in 15-16 left plans to develop Paget Beach with a proper facility for change, bathroom, and all the rest of it. Each year, a standing finance committee, we asked the current minister, what about Paji? You'll get Paji soon. You'll get Paji soon. Last year, we heard that Paji was on the books for 24-25, not materialized yet.
Yeah. As you leave the constituency, you leave the keys to Omar Newell. Of course, you expect him to get that nod, get the support at election time. What kind of individual are you leaving Central St. Mary to?
Well, I've worked with Omar. In fact, Omar has worked with me previously when I was in the Ministry of Transport Works and Housing. I think he is a people person. I think he has warmed himself to the constituents, and I think he will make a good representative. I have said publicly, I've said on the platform, and I've said this is one in whom I'm well pleased, and I'm confident that he will continue and to do his own thing in making the people of this area satisfied with their selection as the next Member of Parliament, in him being that.
Any regrets, Dr. Guy?
Some of the things that you'd want to accomplish have not materialized. But in terms of my interaction with my constituents, I'm very satisfied with that. I don't know if you listened to, but I read a note sent to me by a parent of a child who got some assistance, and those things make you want to well up in the eyes. But the truth is that I have been happy serving my people, and I think the friendships and the camaraderie